Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. What's the story?
Yeah, the president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says his 650,000 barrel capacity refinery is increasingly relying on the United States for crude oil. So we hope nothing happens to that. This came as findings showed that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is projected to import a total of 17.65 million barrels crude oil between April and July 2025, beginning with about 3.65 million barrels already delivered in the past 2 months, amid ongoing allocations under the federal government's Naira for Crude policy. Dangote informed the technical committee of the one-stop shop for the sale of crude and refined products in Naira initiative that the refinery was still battling crude shortages, which has led it to resort to imports from the United States. In a statement from the firm on Thursday, Dangote stated this when the coordinator of the OSS Technical Committee, Mrs. Maureen Obunna, led the delegation to the refinery, which she described as a breath of fresh air. As a breath of fresh air impacting virtually every sector of the economy. According to the statement, Dangote applauded the technical committee for its role in supporting the implementation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's laudable Naira for Crude initiative. He also commended the positive impact of the Naira for Crude swap deal on the Nigerian economy, noting that it has led to a reduction in petroleum product prices, eased pressure on the dollar, and ensured the stability of the local currency, amongst others. Well, I should hope that over time that they don't need to import. They should be able to have enough crude instead of importing to service the refinery. Why have such an amazing refinery if it doesn't have the crude to service it? Doesn't make sense.
Okay, another story in Punch.
Yes, the Lagos state government has attributed the closure of the popular abattoir markets located in the Agege area of the state to unsafe and unhygienic practices by the traders in the markets. The market was shut on Thursday following a visit by the State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, and he shared it on his X page. In the video and the post that he made, Wahab disclosed that the market was shut down because the government had observed that some people were sleeping in the market alongside animals. Wahab, while addressing the traders, also disclosed that he was acting on the directive of the state government. He says it is not going to work, that the government sent me here and I've done the message. I'm closing it down until things are done the right way. People cannot be sleeping in an animal field. It's not going to work. And let's try to do something right. When we shut it down, somebody will sit down and think. The Agege Abattoir was among one of the markets that has been shut down for various environmental infrastructure in the state. And they said April 11, the Lagos state government sealed off 13 markets, the K2 markets, my 12 markets area in the state for deliberately disobeying the waste management law. So they said they won't open it until the proper thing is done.
That's our meat, though. She fix it.
That is the place where
that's like the main market.
Live fresh meat.
Yes, so they should please get it right so that they
can.
No,
because diseases can spread from things like that.
That's fresh. When you buy it.
So, but they should make sure. But now that I'm happy that the state government is looking at that, because that's the food we consume. Because it's hygienic. So I'm happy they're doing it, but they should do it quickly because we have meat to eat.
Yes.
Moving on to Daily Sun. FG finalizes evacuation of Nigerians in Israel and Iran, ready to receive citizens deported from the US. Oba of Benin receives 119 stolen artifacts from Netherlands, reveals plots to reloot. Governors back federal government's effort to ease food transports by tackling unauthorized levies and eliminate illegal checkpoints. Alleged terrorism, DSS officials links Nnamdi Kanu to NSAS unrest. Okay, I have the story. Oba of Benin has disclosed how some international cartels plotted to reloot the 119 stolen artifacts returned from Netherlands. The monarch was speaking while receiving artifacts in his palace, Benin City, explained that the plot failed after he prayed to God and the ancestors. He said, "I thank President Bola Tinubu for supporting and committing to the efforts to ensure the artifacts are not relooted, because there were groups in this country believed to be international cartel that had all sorts of conspiracy to reloot our artifacts. They stole and burnt out the kingdom. They killed my people, their morale, and tried to kill their spirit and their morale. Today, I lament the fact that the people of Benin Kingdom The boldness, the courage, and the bravery is still there. Events of 1897 reduced that to a significant level that sometimes when I see my people, they're afraid of the unknown. You know, recently was it a movie that we watched that kind of reminded us of the history of when these artifacts were looted? Really, really painful story. And I'm happy that 100 years or 200 years later, we are getting these artifacts back. Albeit piecemeal, but at least many of them are coming back, and I'm hoping that and indeed they're not relooted, as the Oba is saying.
And not just for me, it's not just about it coming back, it's about the message is passing. That means there's an acknowledgement that something happened.
Right,
and for me, that's everything.
Then I went to the museum in the UK and I saw all these artifacts. I said, and they will tell you that they stole. I used to have more to tell us that you stole it from Africa, and you still have it here to on display.
What part our forefathers that are responsible for that now? They sold
they
it.
killed them.
Yes.
They stole it. It was practically stolen. They killed it. They practically leveled the village.
And so
they killed them. The Oba then fled. I think it was to Calabar or something where he eventually died. But they looted everything. You know? But
okay, so the federal government has reiterated its commitment to the emergency evacuation of stranded Nigerians in Israel and Iran as tensions escalate between the two countries. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Toga, disclosed this in a statement issued on Thursday in Abuja by the ministry spokesperson. The statement comes in the wake of ongoing calls for the ministry for a cessation of hostilities in the conflict, now in its 7th day, as part of efforts to promote peace between both nations. Okay. Toga stated that in response to the worsening crisis, the government was finalizing arrangements for the emergency evacuation of Nigerians stranded in Israel and Iran, that you should go to the nearest Nigerian foreign mission for registration and further instructions. So that, please, everybody should stay safe.
Yes.
Just come back home. We love you. Yeah, come back
things
home
calm down,
and
you
then
can
go back into work. I have the story on the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekpo. He has urged African countries to unite in a regional front so that they can develop the continent's vast gas resources, warning that disjointed national efforts would undermine growth and sustainability in the sector. Now, he was speaking at the second Africa Gas Innovation Summit in Abuja, and he stressed that Africa's gas revolution requires a collective continental approach built on harmonized policies, cross-border partnerships, and shared infrastructure. He said that the resilience we seek in Africa's gas economy must be continental. That must come from cross-border cooperation, harmonized regulatory frameworks, shared infrastructure, regional markets, and common financing platforms. A fragmented approach will not deliver the scale or the impact that we desire. And I agree, you know, to the saying that's popular is that we're better together. And so Africa is a nation that is rich, a continent that is richly blessed. And so just think of all the good that can come if, you know, we play to our strengths as a collective unit. I think that will be stronger. And our impact on the world, which already, as we can see, is very crystal clear. The impact on the world would be much more.
By God's grace. All right, the one I have here, this one says governors agree to curb food, livestock distribution hurdles. Good news. The Nigerian Governor Forum, NGF for short, has resolved to collaborate on ways to dismantle existing hurdles to the easy transportation of food and livestock across the country. The hurdles include unauthorized checkpoints, illegal taxation, and poor infrastructure. NGF noted that this hiccup contributed to high food inflation and a poor food supply chain. Members of the forum decided on the move at a meeting that was held on Wednesday night in Abuja, and the National Security Advisor, NSA, Nurul Ribadu, and 3 ministers, Abubakar Badaru for Defense, Mohammed Abubakar for Agriculture and Livestock Development, and Saidu Akali for Transportation, attended the meeting. And they also expressed concern that over the non-fulfillment of the funding pledge by the World Bank under the Nigerian Community Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus. And they also stated that the members of the Nigerian Governor Forum at the meeting that was deliberated on issues affecting the country, that they've decided that they would look into all those things and make sure that the levels, the development and the levels on livestock and transportation, on the rising cost of food and livestock transportation across the country comes to an end. And they also said that all the illegal taxation, poor infrastructure, and that they are all key contribution to why food has been rising over the years. But they said with this, definitely that everything will come, will be resolved eventually.
Okay. Moving on quickly, our final paper at the Vanguard. Benue Massacre, troops got wrong intel on attackers' movement, says CDS. Zenith Bank navigating CBN's prudential measures with confidence. Senate to track 1.48 trillion naira Rivers budget. Alleged terrorism, I have no case to answer, Kanu tells court. Israel-Iran conflict, Trump to make war decision in 2 weeks. Court grants Senator Natasha 50 million naira bill, fixes September 23rd for trial. Benue killings, troops got wrong intel, and displaced survivors cry out over poor feeding and living conditions.
I have the story on the troops who got wrong information on headers movement. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, yesterday disclosed that the troops received intelligence that more killers were on their way to state communities in Benue State in different locations. They now mobilized and deployed to the named communities, but on getting there, they discovered that the intelligence was faulty, only to learn the attack was somewhere else. He added that the informants from the state also provided accommodation, feeding, and even women to the criminal elements who attacked the Elewata community, during which no fewer than 200 persons were killed. Now, the CDS spoke at a meeting with the media at the DHQ in Abuja, and he said that when troops received intelligence that bandits were on their way to some communities in the state, they mobilized. When they got there, the intelligence wasn't factual. This is why we always say communities should provide us with information. See something and report to security agencies. The criminals were given accommodation. Look, the truth of the matter is people are in mourning. While it is true that community serving as a watchdog will also help for a more robust framework when it comes to information, I do not want to believe that at this point in time we do not have tangible and robust systems that we don't even need to depend on the people. Like, how can you come out as a unit to say this, that you were giving, you didn't fact check, you didn't?
I mean, I hear you, because the truth is that the killings didn't start yesterday. Since January to date, over 500 people have died. So intel is not something you just take. There are things you see and learn. And not also, people must be there. There has to be some kind of system that put in place to ensure that we are seeing and we're looking at the communities. So you can't totally depend on one intel, because you're right. That is not it's not holding much water. But I have to take this story before I go, because Nnamdi Kanu has pleaded that he has entered a no-case submission. So the prosecution concluded their case yesterday. I think after they had with their fifth witness yesterday, the lawyer from the prosecution was able to conclude the case, and expecting the defense, that's Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer, to bring in their own defense. However, they entered a no-case submission. What this means is that a no-case submission is made when a defendant is convinced that the totality of evidence that was adduced by the prosecution failed to establish a prima facie case that is capable of warranting the court to compel him to enter his defense. Now, should his application succeed, the defendants will be discharged by the court, thus making an end to the trial. So we're waiting. I think they've given I think it's 14 days to file written addresses, and then we'll see what happens from then on. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we'll move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.